A YouTube channel I've been subscribed to for quite a while now is George Thompson, and he recently did a video about the ancient Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi, a video well worth watching. But in the middle of it, he asked the Taoist master Gu to describe Zhuangzi.
If I'm asked to use some words to describe him, I should say playful, and it's very carefree.
Playfulness is what I want to talk about today because I think it's quite underrated. When we think about philosophers, wise monks, all those sort, we normally imagine them as quite serious, stern people, but often I don't think they are. Often they don't take much too seriously and they have a good laugh. Like the Dalai Lama, for example, is regularly known to make fart jokes.
When in aeroplane, sometimes this gas problem comes. Then, you see, difficult to let out. So occasionally, you see, look around, then remain like that.
The Zen Buddhist and poet Ryokan was known to spend most of his days joining in with kids' games in the street and just playing about like a complete fool. And here, Master Gu tells us Zhuangzi was also very playful. This is part of what makes him so wise. I think anyone who is very serious and stern isn't truly wise because they've only considered half of life, the dark side, the side of pain and sadness, where human beings are capable of tremendous horror. And you might contemplate the lot of it and come up with a lot of very clever things, but you still lack wisdom because you haven't managed the balance between both sides. Equally, if you were nothing but jolliness, you'd either be naive and totally innocent, or so afraid of your own sadness that you spend your life blocking it out and whisking everything into some cheery, happy-clappy mood. But the wisest of people consider both sides, like why the Dalai Lama can contemplate human sadness and worldly suffering, yet also make fart jokes. Or Robin Williams is a good example of the balance between part a buffoon comedian and part a serious actor who shows a lot of pain. The world isn't black and white, we all know that. There is both joy and suffering, hope and horror. And if you look at the world and decide, but at its heart everything is horror, that human beings will do the most horrific stuff when given the means, that war and greed and power is the core of life, and these little acts of kindness and beauty and warmth, they're just blankets to try and cover up that core, that inner heart of darkness. That view is just seeing one side, because it's dismissing all the kindness and joy as beauty as quite a small thing. That is looking on life as this very serious thing, rather than the beautiful paradox. Because the Dalai Lama doesn't make fart jokes to cover up suffering or hide human misery. He does it because he's genuinely happy. That's the paradox. The Dalai Lama or Zhuangzi or anybody can grieve in immense pain and yet also be happy at the same time. There's that classic Zhuangzi story about this.
Zhuangzi's wife died. When Huize went to convey his condolences, he found Zhuangzi sitting with his legs sprawled out, pounding on a tub and singing. All these years your wife takes care of the house and kids, then she gets old and dies, and not only do you not cry, but you drum and sing. That's outrageous, Zhuangzi. No, Huize, you're wrong. When she first died, do you not think I didn't grieve like anyone else? In the midst of the jumble of wonder and mystery, a change took place, and she had a spirit. Another change, a body. Another change, and she was born. Now there's been another change, and my wife has passed away. It's as natural as the passing of the 4 seasons. If I were to follow after her, bawling and sobbing, it would show that I don't understand anything about fate. So I stopped.
That's wisdom, when you can contemplate the worst of life without being destroyed by it, without losing that happy, playful side. But I'm gonna make 3 different points on the purpose and wisdom of playfulness now. That's what this video will be, and the first point is the most obvious, so I won't spend too many words on it. Happiness. We enjoy life when we have a laugh. We worry less when we stop taking things too seriously. If I could go back and give one piece of advice to my younger self, it would be that. You don't need to worry so much. You can relax. Things largely turn out fine, and even when they don't turn out fine, you still manage fine. It's all okay. Your worry is unnecessary. I used to walk around barefoot a lot. I still do sometimes, actually, because I don't know, I'm a bit weird. But I used to do it at school, and I don't know, there's kind of an interesting metaphor that comes out of it. I wouldn't have noticed this at the time, but looking back, because people would see me walking about barefoot, walking over stones, gravel, all that sort of stuff, like it's nothing, like it doesn't hurt. And these hypothetical people that don't exist would ask, you know, how come it doesn't hurt you to walk over the stones? And in this scenario, I would hypothetically say that it's the same as getting injections. They only truly hurt when you tense your muscles. So relax them. Relax the muscles in your feet and walk just the way you'd walk as if this was soft grass. And doing that, it won't hurt. And that's true, it doesn't hurt when you relax your feet. And I think that is just a good metaphor for life. Relax and the painful parts will hurt a lot less. Walk through the rubble of life as though you walk across soft grass, and you discover even the hard stones have a soft side. Being playful is relaxing your muscles, really. And by playful I don't literally mean kids playing with Hot Wheels or Barbie or whatever. I also mean joking around, acting like an idiot for the fun of it, laughing at yourself, dancing stupidly, putting on voices, whatever it is you do, you know? Being playful is an exercise in not taking yourself too seriously, which brings me nicely into point 2. Freedom. As human beings, we spend a lot of time thinking about freedom, you know, what it is, how you get it, if you can ever get it, or if becoming free, you then miss the safety of the restraints you had before. Really, I think the closest we can get to true freedom, the most fulfilling experience of freedom we can have, is the freedom that comes from not taking yourself too seriously. Because you see people who are caught up in their image and reputation, how they look to other people, what everybody thinks of them, how they'll be remembered, are they popular, whatever, and it just looks exhausting. They've kind of become prisoners to their own worries and their own image. And you just kind of have to wonder if those people ever actually start living their lives, or is the whole thing just consumed by this attempt to present some perfect image of who they want to be or look like. And I guess here on YouTube in particular, you see a lot of people live that way and try to present themselves that way, which I guess is why I try to do the opposite here and be as sincere as I can in all my videos. I remember once me and my mates were in a computer room playing volleyball with a balloon. But instead of hitting it with our hands, we were swinging chairs at it. And it was the most stupid, idiotic thing we could possibly be doing. Swinging chairs, just full on as hard as we could at a balloon when we're surrounded by expensive computers. God knows how we didn't smash any, but that was part of the fun. That's what made it feel so free, because we weren't worrying. We were expelling our worry by carrying out such a ludicrously carefree act, you know? What made it so fun and hilarious for us was precisely how stupid and carefree it was to swing chairs in a computer room. It was funny that we were being so dumb, you know? And that's kind of the point. There's an incredible freedom to stepping outside of this serious person you are, to just become a complete idiot for a bit. It's like shedding yourself a little, shedding your skin, freeing out the inside. And that in turn is what makes it so fun, because it becomes a joyful expression. To feel so free for a bit is kind of feeling of euphoria in a way. And I guess that's a weird example of it, but simpler, more obvious ones is, you know, kids pretending to be Batman or Jedi Knights or whatever. Or actors pretending to be different people, comedians putting on dumb voices, playing up to comedy personas, friends taking the piss out of each other. That's all playing, and playing is like stepping a little outside of that prison of your worries to be weightless for a while. And without having that experience of being weightless and stepping outside yourself, life would be twice as grey, twice as dull, and twice as meaningless. And sometimes people sneer at you for your playful side. I touched on this in the Some Thoughts About Passion video I do, so I won't repeat the point really. But people can sneer at you for your playful side, but I don't think they really mean it. In the same way, dogs are very, very playful creatures to the point of just boundless, excited stupidity. And we love them for that. We love them for that because they're so full of joy. And I think it's the same with humans who are like that. And I don't mean people who force jokes and are desperate to be funny so much, even though we might find them funny. it's not quite the same because that's not a kind of carefree humour and playfulness. I mean the people who just playfully free themselves for a bit and have that same boundless excitement of not caring like a dog does. We all love those people in life because they kind of bring a sense of freedom with them. Creativity. So I tried googling playful celebrities a while back to look for some examples, but all that came up were articles about some portraits painted to make celebrities look playful. And I tried googling childlike or childish celebrities, but that just came up with articles about celebrities who act like immature twats, which isn't what I'm looking for. Nonetheless, my theory is that creative people tend to have a very playful side to them, because being playful is meandering. It approaches nothing in a straightforward, direct manner, because you have no real aim or intention. You're just messing about and seeing what happens. Kind of like squeezing a lump of clay in your hands or doodling randomly and seeing what comes about. As a result of that, you end up thinking in less tunnel vision, more expansive, creative ways. And I guess improvised comedy is built entirely on that idea of play about and just see what fun, creative stuff emerges. But also, because all you're doing is playing about, that removes the stress and pressure. You know, like if your job is to come up with a creative brand logo, say, and you're stuck for ideas, sometimes just removing some of the pressure and playing about like a kid, that frees up your mind to think more expansively and think more creatively. And I certainly know that in my writing, I approach it very playfully. You probably don't see that from this channel here, where I talk about a lot of serious stuff. But my writing tends to be very playful because it's in that I think creativity thrives. And I thought about some good examples to show this point, which was why I was trying to Google playful celebrities. And I mentioned Robin Williams as one, Jim Carrey, David Bowie's got that kind of side. But a good recent example that shows it very clearly is the Norwegian singer Aurora.
Someone might be listening to one of my songs right now. And maybe that person is crying or running, maybe making some food, dinner, pancakes, waffles, all sorts of lovely... Sorry, I'm a bit hungry.
I think all creative people have a side a little bit like this, because they understand it's fun to look at life in different ways. And that's effectively what their jobs are as creative people, to look at life and the world and stuff in different ways to everyone else. Serious people, on the other hand, tend to be things like bankers and lawyers, things I'd be useless at, because they look at the world in more formulaic, ordered ways that focus on detail. So I guess, if you want to be more creative, I guess I'm saying it's good to start by cultivating your playful side. But I do want to wrap this back round to what I said earlier, because I've kind of gone off track a bit. A big part of why wise people tend to be more playful is because it frees up their mind to see the bigger picture rather than just getting bogged down in the seriousness, losing creative perspectives and becoming very tunnel vision. And this hasn't been the most playful video, I'm sorry for that, but Master Gu talked about Zhuangzi being playful. And this is what I want to finish on, because George in the video then asked him why being playful is important, and he said,
Completely speaking, we human beings should be both a social person and a natural person. If you don't forget, you are one part of the nature. If you really have the Taoist thought, you will be natural. If you are natural, you can be playful, like the birds happily chirping on the trees, even on the electric wire.
It's natural to be playful in that sense. All animals, no matter how old they get, don't stop playing, whereas humans kind of play less as we get older. We become more serious and stern and take serious commutes to a serious job, and we're always trying to act very professional and smart all the time. I have a house rabbit who's almost 13 now. He's not hugely far off breaking the world record age for a rabbit, so he's ancient. But he still plays about with wrapping paper. Or if you stack up a few DVDs, he still enjoys knocking them down. Playfulness is natural, and it reconnects us to the natural flow of life or time or whatever, because we're not thinking or worrying when we do it. We're stepping outside of ourselves and into the natural world. We're kind of acting on instinct and enjoying each second as it comes. We're fully present when we're playful. So I think what I'm saying, to finish this, is be sad when you feel sad, be angry when you feel angry, but also be playful and let yourself go a little when you need to. Don't take life or yourself too seriously, because yes, we need some seriousness, obviously we do. We need it to survive in a difficult world, otherwise we'd never get a job or anything. So we need seriousness to survive, but we also need playfulness to actually live, to thrive, to discover colour in a world that looks very black and white without it.